So I have to live up to the reputation. I have to stretch it, and time is a delusion. So we stretch it, we fold it, and all that. But we rarely fold it. We often stretch it more. So how about Shanti was suggesting maybe I do a chant.
Sure.
More people might walk in, and then I hand it over to you.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. One time I had an assistant, Brahmachari Vineet, and I am not known exactly to remember things. And so he came into my room, and he's like, I said, yes. He said, I'm sorry, I forgot why I've come here. I said, it's okay. It's not your fault. You've come into my room. So if people are coming late today, you know who to blame. Okay, friends, let's sing for the joy that masters have brought in our lives, for the spiritual family they have given us, and for their eternal friendship and presence in our lives. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Amen. 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 We will sing this beautiful chant in English and Hindi. In Hindi, the words are, Prabhu, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, हो जाओ मेरे, प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा तुम्हारा. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. I am thine, I am thine. I am thine, I am thine. Om Shanti. Peace. Amen. I'd like to invite Lakshmi now.
Good evening, friends. It is my great privilege to introduce Nayaswami Dr. Adityaji, who many of you know. He doesn't need an introduction. You can feel his spirit and his energy just in one single chant, really just in a smile. We've had the privilege of spending the last few days with Dr. Aditya, and he was sharing with us, as many of you know, that his career path started in medical school, where he was studying to be a surgeon and a medical doctor. And he was just sharing with us on the car ride from Ananda village down here yesterday about how even in medical school, he knew right away that he didn't want to be serving in the medical world in a traditional way, but that spirit of giving and serving and offering himself selflessly, even through his medicine, was always with him from the very onset of his career. Then in 2006, he met Swami Kriyananda and had
you have a good memory.
Yeah. And within just
you should
a few
be my
days,
assistant.
I've done my research.
I was just sharing before we began that because I am absent-minded sometimes. My assistant was very much on the job. I'm not taking her away, Shanti.
You can store all the information. And after meeting Swami Kriyananda, just within a few days, Swamiji asked him to come and serve in Pune, where, for the most part, I believe you've been centered ever since, though he travels all around the world and really shares that Ananda vibration all over India. He's instrumental. Not only does he serve as a Kriyacharya and an Acharya in Ananda Pune, and the spiritual director there, but he does countless outreach events and works very closely with the leadership team in India to help spread the work there, which is what he'll share with us tonight. But above all the titles and everything else that Dr. Aditya shares with us, what you feel is just the spirit of Ananda. I mean, the playfulness, the joy, the laughter right away. That's what we can feel from you in that deep devotion. So it's a great privilege to have you here. We're very happy.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Thank you, Shantiji, for suggesting I come. And let's play a chant and a prayer and a brief meditation. And this evening is, let's think of one another as Swami and Master told us to think of each other. We are family. We are a spiritual family. And we'll just get to know each other. I'm extremely happy and delighted to get to know you all. We were having some little snack before a dinner, before we came here. So getting to know some of you, and we'll get to know each other a little bit more. So there'll be some interaction, question, answers. I'll share about India, Pune, a little bit about my journey, some little stories from Swamiji, and like I said, I would love to get to know you. I'm very happy. In the past, I've been guilty of coming and just going, buying my favorite books from East West Bookstore. But this time, Divine Mother said, you can't always be thinking of yourself. Get to know others a little bit more. So I'm extremely happy. So let's invite the masters to be. Actually, let's stand up and offer this prayer together, opening our hearts to the presence of our masters. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, beloved Gurus, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru, Paramhans Yogananda Ji, saints and sages of all religions, our dearest friend and beloved guide, Swami Kriyananda Ji, we humbly bow before you all. We invite your divine presence, your uplifting grace in this satsang. Bless us all. Fill us with your spirit. Help us be in tune with thee and use us as instruments to share your joy and consciousness with all our brothers and sisters. We are thine. Be thou eternally ours. Om. Amen. Let us do one more chant. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine mother, 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 my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine mother, 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 my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine mother, 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 my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my divine mother. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother, Divine Mother, my Divine Mother. Let's meditate for 4 to 5 minutes. Especially feel the joy of Divine Mother and our Masters and Swamiji, seeing us all as one family, East and West, uniting in Satsang. Let us tune into that quality, that feeling that the mother enjoys when all her children are happy, helping one another. and continuing to sit in meditative silence, let us listen to these words by Master from his autobiography. This is the chapter, I Go to America. And these are his words. The eve of my departure for the United States found me in Sri Yukteswar's holy presence. Forget you were born a Hindu and don't be an American. Take the best of them both, Master said in his calm way of wisdom. Be your true self, a child of God. Seek and incorporate into your being the best qualities of all your brothers scattered over the earth in various races. Then I will read just one more paragraph, skipping a few. Actually, I'll read the two paragraphs because they are related. Then he blessed me. All those who come to you with faith, seeking God, will be helped. As you look at them, the spiritual current emanating from your eyes will enter into their brains and change their material habits, making them more God-conscious. He went on, your lot to attract sincere souls is very good. Everywhere you go, even in the wilderness, you will find friends. Both of his blessings have been amply demonstrated. I came alone to America, into a wilderness, without a single friend. But there I found thousands ready to receive the time-tested soul teachings. And I'll read two small extracts from the conversations with Yogananda. This is conversation 67. Swamiji writes, the Master once made an interesting comment. You can practice yoga better in California than anywhere else on earth. The climate is more conducive. And this is 267. When I was in India, the Master said, I knew that I must return to America, yet I felt a strong affinity with India, where the very soil breathes love for God. And then I saw all of you waiting for me, those especially whom I had yet to meet in this life. You were my real family, much more so than my blood relatives in India. Those relatives were, except for a handful, spiritual strangers to me. You were my own, and this was my true home, my family in God. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Good evening once again, everyone. Namaste. And what a joy, truly a joy. This is my first time being in Satsang with all of you. Of course, many of you I have known for many years, online, offline. We've met at Ananda Village and the East-West bookstore, and of course, sometimes when I've passed through Palo Alto. But like they say, and welcome those who are in this wonderful balcony seat up there, and also our friends who are joining online. So, like I was saying, in the beginning a little bit, what we'll do is I'll share just a little bit about, my journey, as we all do. How did we come to Ananda? Like Lakshmi was sharing just a bit, about how I met Swamiji. And, Master said that the Guru does 25%. He takes care of 25% of your karma. Of course, God, he said, does 50% of the work. And the remaining 25 comes where it should come. It comes to us. We have to do something for ourselves. But I have often thought that, let's say my life was going along. I think all of us could relate to this. We are going along. We are born in a family, like Master said, in a city, in some country. And life is happening. And then suddenly, suddenly you find the book, Autobiography of a Yogi, or you meet somebody, or you see a flyer. You fill in the blank. Something happens, and it's as if you are put on, another track, literally, and you say that, wow, I never knew such a book, such a teaching, such people, such a place existed. And many times in my life, I have wondered if that was not already the 25% that the Guru had to do. That's no mean task. To suddenly change our life, you might say like a U-turn. And of course, he does more. Jayaji I live with Jayaji in Pune, and he often says, I think God and Gurus do more than 75%. But he said they wanted to give us a respectable number, that we are also doing something. So he says they make us feel we are also doing. But actually think about it. They bring us on the path. Like Babaji said to Lahari Mahashaya. Lahari Mahashaya, the first meeting, he says, well, sir, I think I should return. And he says, don't you remember this? Don't you remember me? Don't you remember the bowl, this cave? And he says, sir, my people, our definitions are about to change in a minute. He said, my people are waiting for me. They must be looking for me, worried for me. And Babaji, of course, tells him, brings him into divine memory, and then gives him the proof that he was loving him, watching over him. And he said, I watched over you in death. I watched your birth, your childhood, all these 33 years. Well, we are not aware of ourselves for 33 years. So the Guru does 25% and we do 25%. I have my doubts. But yes, we will let Master's statement be. But like Jayaji said, maybe they are doing more, but not letting us know. So they bring us on the path, and then they guide us on the path. They keep us on the path. They answer, like Lahari Mahashaya said. He said, there are no unanswered prayers. They are unanswered because maybe the time has not come. Maybe we are a naughty child who does not know what he's asking for, and the parent is not giving it to us. And finally, of course, it is only by their grace that they introduce us to God. So much happens. So anyway, my life was going along, and I one day told myself that, sitting in your room, this room, thinking about all these things is not going to help you. You have to go. I've been fond of books. I think by now it's very clear. And I said, I should go and find an inspiring autobiography, because I am a person who enjoys good nonfiction, and autobiographies, can be very inspiring. I said, somebody who's perhaps gone through something like this, these questions, something inspiring. And I went and I was looking in my favorite bookstore at the section where I was familiar with those sections. And suddenly I found a book which I had never known about, never seen over there, including a week before I had gone there. And of course, it was Autobiography of a Yogi. And reading the book, and as Lakshmi was sharing, 2 weeks later, I saw this beaming face of a man. It was mentioned in the newspaper. I saw Paramhansa Yoganandaji's picture, and just below him was Swami Kriyananda's picture. I am from the medical profession. I said, I've never seen a person of that age just being like that. Later I would remember that line in the autobiography in the chapter Kriya Yoga. Yoganandaji said, on an average, let's say a human being carries 50 watts of energy in the body. He said, excessive practice of Kriya Yoga can rouse over 1 billion watts. And I think we can testify to that you see Master, you see Swamiji, and I said, my goodness, there's something going on over here. And it's a direct disciple. He was about to launch the Bhagavad Gita in Delhi. I was staying in Delhi at that time and doing my internship and medical work. Residency was about to begin. And so I went and saw him. And like Lakshmi said then, fortunately, Swami could see straight through you. See, that is friendship. They say things, they resonate to that part of you which is lost sometimes to us. We live in the body, but Swami says, how many people are aware of themselves? How many are omniscient, even in their own body, even in their own mind? We are often not clear about it. And Swami said, oh, who cares for a degree? And, you can be a general practitioner. And I said, yes. Because all those questions and thoughts I had shared with others had just been like, no, don't do this, do that. And comes this ray of light which knows exactly God's will, what you should do, how you should do it, and I will tell you how to do it. Those kinds of things I think I'm kind of practicing or preaching to the choir over here. But those are things, that blessing that comes right in the very beginning sometimes. It doesn't have to be ongoing. Many times we are conditioned this way. Oh, if you're my best friend, stay with me, live with me, talk to me, let's stay in touch. Well, the way the masters stay in touch can be very different. When Sri Yukteswarji wanted to bring sweets out of reverence and gratitude for Babaji, Babaji vanished through thin air. He said, you were too restless. He said, you almost extinguished me in the ether. But, of course, Babaji always stayed in touch. So I want to share a little bit about how I first came to the US. I owe deep gratitude to Gary and Gary's brother. Actually, it was right here in Palo Alto. I had met his brother in Pune many years ago. We were interacting after a satsang, and he mentioned, I asked him what he does, and when he mentioned he worked with Senator Feinstein, Kamala Harris, I said, I should keep his number. It's an interesting man. I'm often interested in politics and world affairs and such, so we just kind of stayed a little bit in touch. And Swami wanted me to come to the US, and I was denied twice in 2011. And so one day I said, let's call Gary and let's ask him if he can help us. He spoke to Senator Feinstein and got 5 of us monks in there. And she just said, these are simple, unmarried, single guys. And, they want to come over. I know them. I know their work. And she wrote this beautiful letter and signed it, which my only job was to present it to the right person at the, embassy. And I did. And I got in over here, came to Palo Alto. I remember I sat in the school for a few days because in 2009, Swami had wanted us to start a school in Pune. So naturally, he told me, go and meet Dr. Peter. I came and saw Shantiji at that time, what work she was doing, what Peter was doing. I saw the East-West bookstore. I had read about it in Swami Kirananda as we have known him. And, we all come with different samskars. Shankar often jokes that I was the librarian of the library in Alexandria. And he said, something happened to you. He said, you're just so fond of books. And books are like, communication. Yes, Master did say, don't read too much. And I admire, I think it was Devi Mukherjee who read the autobiography and never read another book after that. And he said, I don't need to read anything. On the other hand, Swami's way was, let's see what are the other ways, what are other people doing. And he was that instrument through whom Master's teachings were shown to so many people. So I've been very grateful to David, Karen, and many others who have taken up that piece of Swami's heart too, to have a place like that and run it so beautifully and nicely. Now, when I met Swamiji, I'll share just 1 or 2 lines. And by the way, this is going to be interactive. So you will, I'll talk about very briefly about how the work started in Pune. Because like Lakshmi said, I met Swamiji and he said, I'm sending the monks to Pune. Would you go there? I said, yes, I'm happy to go there. My medical school was there. I studied for a few years. And he told Shankar, he said, okay, take him on the next train and let this person can stay back. Let Aditya go on his ticket. I was like, Swami was never the one to waste time. And he said, you could start a clinic and, help the villagers in this way and such. And just like one thing after another. He said, get involved with everything. He said, I want you to do outreach, get involved with finances. He said, do everything, get involved with everything. So sometimes when I think of why this, it's like everything. Everything, it's all part of everything. Whatever comes, it's part of that everything. And so I came, and Guru's grace, like Swami was like a father, friend, brother to us all. And he told me, I had this love for books, as I mentioned. I came to Ananda with just 2 books, Autobiography of a Yogi and a little booklet. I think it was about Ramana Maharishi. I wasn't sure if they'll accept me, I didn't know they had a monastery. So I came and I said, yeah, come on in and now get on the train, go. So I bought a book, and Bhajana might be watching this online. I met her this evening and I said, what should I talk about? And she said, talk about that book. And she received a book from Jyotish and Deviji, which I had gifted to them because that is the first book I gifted to Swamiji. And actually next time, David, I'm going to bring a lot of copies for that to keep at EL and in our store over here. It's a wonderful collaboration between an American author who writes for children and an Indian illustrator. And the book is called The Mountain That Loved a Bird. And I liked that book very much. And so I gave it to Swamiji. But before that, how did I find that book? So I wanted to start a library. Now, Swami would really throw you in the deep end of the waters. He told you to do things. He told you to go to this city, that country. He never gave you money or anything. His blessings, blessings bring everything. But he did this, and then you had to do your part. And he said to me, start a library. You have my blessings. Start a clinic. I had given up my stethoscope, books, every single thing before I came to Ananda, only to know now he wants me to start this. So I borrowed 10,000 rupees from another brother monk. And I said, I saw the village where our work was going to be. And then I got a bag and I had to fill it up with medicines. And my background was surgery, so some little kits and all that I could do work. And then that morning, I took off for this wonderful place which would sell excellent children's literature. I knew that place for many years, and I wanted to start with children's books, inspiring books. And I went in this store, I remember at 10 o'clock, and at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, somebody tapped me from behind. And this gentleman says, sir, can I help you? I said, no, I'm doing fine. He says, you've been here for 4 hours, And this was not a very big store too. And he said, I could help you. What are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for good books for children. He said, well, all these books are very good. I said, I know, which is why it's difficult to choose. I said, your books are very good, but I don't have the money to buy all the books. So he looked at me up and down, and I used to be in white clothes at that time. So he said, what do you do? I said, I'm a monk. I'm trying to start a children's library. He said, I have some spiritual questions. Let's go for a coffee. I said, okay. And he said, let me treat you to coffee. And he said, he's like, there's a coffee store right across. I said, okay. So as we were walking, he told his team at the counter, he said, just pack him books from this, and that publisher. I looked and I said, Rohit, I really don't have that kind of money. He said, I'm not asking you for money. I said, okay, let's see. And so we went for coffee, and he had very good questions, and he ended up later meeting Swamiji. And at one point I said, now you know how spiritual questions can go, especially on first meetings. So after some time I said, look, brother, I have to go to that part of town where medical equipment is sold, and I have to buy so many things. I have to start a clinic tomorrow. So he said, okay, go. So I went and I was doing my shopping. And he gives me a call in the middle of that, and he said, Aditya, when you're going home, just pass by my shop once, please. I said, okay. So I came through his shop, and he was standing in the parking with an envelope in his hand. So I brought my car, and he stopped, and he didn't allow me to even come out, and he gave me this envelope. I said, what's this? He said, just go home and open it. I said, this feels like money. He said, go home and check it. So I said, well, thank you, Rohit. So I reached home. And I had about 300 books that he had given me. And I opened the envelope and there was 10,000 rupees. And there was a little note. As long as I am there, you don't need to borrow money from anyone. And I thought about it. And of course I thanked him and such. But I had left that morning from home with 10,000 for the clinic and some money for the books. And I was sitting with all the money still in my pocket and hundreds of books and a bag full of medical and surgical stuff. So I prayed, meditated, and I was finishing my walk next morning. I came back into the building and I entered the lift. The lift opened and Swami Kriyananda and Leela, his cook then, they were coming out. And I said, good morning, Swamiji. He said, good morning, Aditya. He said, we are going for a walk. Would you like to join us? I said, absolutely. He said, come, give me a hand. So we started. He would walk, of course, very slowly at that time. This is 2009. So we started walking, and there was a little lawn, so we took a few rounds. And just as we started, he said, how are you today? I said, Swamiji, I'm doing very well. He said, how is the library and clinic doing? And, he had this little twinkle in his eyes. So, I was like, he said, how's the library doing? How's the clinic doing? I said, sir, you won't believe what happened yesterday. He said, tell me what happened. And I told him what happened. And he just looked at me and he said, I'm so happy for you. Now I'm sharing this story because God, through the Guru, through one another, we are all family. He wants to help us. And sometimes, of course, it is extremely tangible, like these two stories I said. But many times, we feel, where is he? And like Master would tell that story of sinner Quran. Master said, I lost touch of you, Quran, for many lifetimes. And I will never lose touch of you again, with you again. And Swami said, sinner Quran would remind Master, Master, remember, you should never lose touch with me. And Master said, I remember, we will never lose touch. The question is, Swami would say, who lost touch with whom? Of course it was not Master. Of course it is not been Swamiji. Of course it was not Babaji who lost touch. Of course, in the case of the Masters and Avatars, it's a Leela they are playing out. But for us to always keep that in mind, we should never think, oh, my library, God does not think about my library or my clinic. Oh, he just told me to do it, and now how do I do it? Once they tell us to do it, our job is to go ahead and do that thing, whether it's energization or some work, something, whatever. Personally, they may have told you. They are still speaking through their representatives. In your feelings, they will guide you. Master said, those who think me near, I will be near. And once they say that, and I want to thank you also once again for this beautiful community you've created, because when I came the first time, we are in a physical body. We need to see things. We need to see people. We need to see places where this is being lived and practiced. This morning Shantiji and I were having a breakfast. And, in India, you get a lot of people in classes. Numbers are more, population is more, the knowledge, interest in these teachings is more, and here it's not like that. So Shantiji said, I've stopped focusing on numbers. And I said, absolutely. This is the place where we look back now for over half a century for the work that has been done here. How Master churned the ether of this country. And Master said, America is more in tune than any other country in this world with the rays of Dwapara. That's Swami's line. He said, Master said, America is more in tune with the rays of Dwapara energy than any other country, because it's a new expression that is trying to come in a very new way. So when we have places like this, we all can come back and enjoy. So when I got those 300 books, out of that, one book was The Mountain That Loved the Bird. And so I was like, I have to approved, get these books, something approved. So I chose that book as a prototype. And I sent it to Swamiji. And I said, sir, through Nirmalaji, I said, these are the kind of books I want to keep in the library. What do you think of that? And his simple reply was, I loved it. He said, I loved it. And what's the story? I'll mention it very briefly. It's a mountain, and this mountain is in a desert, and it's cold, and nothing grows in the desert, and especially nothing grows because this mountain is one big rock. And so one day, after centuries of existence, one day this mountain feels something on it. And those are the claws of a little bird. And he says, who are you? And she says, I'm Joy. And he says, well, where are you coming from? Where are you going? I've never seen anything like you. I've never felt anything like you. And she says, oh, I'm a bird. I'm on my way to find some food. And in different seasons, I go back and forth. Thank you for allowing me to rest on you. And so I loved this, he said. He said, you can stay here. She said, look at you. Look at this desert. How can I stay here? She said that I need food. I will have children. She said, I'll come. He said, but I'll miss you if you fly away. And she said, I'll come back. I'm going somewhere. I'll come back. And each time, I will rest on you and we can talk. But then she started aging. And one day she told him, she said, you're a mountain. I'm a bird. You live for millions of years, but I live just for a few years. And I may not come here next season. And then he started crying. And he says, wow. Then she said, let me make you a promise. From all the children I have, I will name one of them Joy. And I will instruct her to come and see you. And then she will instruct her children, one of her children. And so he said, well, this is the best deal, only deal I can. So he said, okay. So this continued generation after generation after generation. A Joy would come every year, sit, talk. Now, one time, and this mountain would each time weep, naturally, when the bird left. And one day as it was weeping, its heart broke up. The rocks parted and water, a little rivulet came out. And now you can see where this story is going. The mountain started having this river flow through it, and bird would come each time. And the bird thought, oh, there's water. I could bring a seed next time. So they brought a seed and more seeds. And year after year after year, from a little blade of grass to ultimately a forest grew over there. And this mountain would each time request, could you please stay back? And say, no, there's no food. There's no vegetation here. But once there was the forest, one day this bird came and he said, hi, mountain, I'm back. I'm Joy. My mother has sent me. And he says, well, yes, I know, I'm happy to meet you, but actually I know you leave, so I'm so sad about this. I don't know how to react. And she said, no, this time I have come to stay. And I thought that is the story of Ananda. Master came at a place where there was poverty, you may say, in this world of joy, God. This God consciousness is a rare thing. And he brought that. And then Swami took it further. And he plowed the planet through his travels. Yes, many, many souls, but let's remember that their outward contribution is the least reflection, like Swami said in his Divine Will. He says, my gift to you all is of a spiritual nature. It cannot be so much put into paper. Books, music, photographs, writings, yes, they are tangible forms. But so much more is happening beneath, you might say, the surface over there. And so that is what Swami and Master gave us. So, Bhajana, I hope you're happy now. I was telling her I was saving that story for SRW, but I said I'll share it. I said, Bhajana, I'll share it for you. And so it is. So Swami, of course, in 2003, you all allowed him to go to Italy, helped him. And then you helped him when he came to India. I also want to pass the gratitude to all of you who have helped. By the way, Ananda Sangha India is celebrating its 20th year. It was in November 2003 that Swamiji came. So this November, Jyotish and Deviji will be there, and we will be having celebration year-long in different centers. And Swami started the work in Gurgaon. Many people who stayed with him in that house today are leading many centers. Then he started the work in Pune. Many of us who were there together, Shurjo, Narayani, Shankara, who was Jamal, and myself, Amit, who was here with you in Palo Alto. He's now heading the work in Chandigarh, Brahmachari Devendra, and Blazy, many others, So I want to just let you know that cracking that rock, getting that first vegetation, like Swami used to say, beach heading, that is what has been your great, honor to be part of. Swami and Master were way showers that way. They were extreme Brahma energy that way. New expression that Master brought. It could have easily died if Swami would not have done that tapasya. But he did it. You all helped him, and you are still helping him. All of us are helping him. Whenever we do what the Guru has told us to do, we are allowing him to flow through us. And so the work continues in India. It's running wonderfully. This year we had 2 centers dedicated, new centers, one in Ludhiana, which is north of Chandigarh, and then one in South India in Hyderabad. For many years, we were trying to reach into Hyderabad. Then many meditation groups have started. A Hindi Sangha, the first Hindi Sangha meditation group in Jaipur, Rajasthan, was dedicated a few months ago. Dhyanaji had a beautiful dream about maybe 7-8 months ago. And she said Master was urging her in that dream to go from city to city to city, establishing meditation groups and centers, putting people in charge. And she said there was a sense of urgency over there. And let's keep that in mind always, that through prayers, through changing our consciousness. I remember my very first meeting when Swami asked me to go to Pune on the train before that. And I'll close with this, so please be ready with some questions. Swami said, we entered the meeting and he just took off. He says, we are headed into war. And he mentioned certain countries that will fight with one another. And then he looked at us and he said something that he would repeat from there on. This was 2008. But after that, he repeated many times, practically in every talk, I think. He said to us, when the times get very difficult, I want to see each one of you serve as a channel of light. It would be a shame if you didn't do that. It would be a shame if I saw you otherwise. And let's keep that in mind, each one of us. How can we be that channel of light? Through our thoughts, through our actions. And of course, the masters know it's not easy. But again, here we have a field where so many crops and seasons have proven themselves. We just need to keep doing it more and more, and then the light keeps spreading. Thank you. I'd be happy to take questions now about Pune particularly, where, by the way, we are now starting a new center where we're going to consolidate our school, our office, and our center or church, temple, you may say. It's going to be all in one place with a bookstore and cafe. Yes, and a library with a little reading room. And it's right in the heart of the city in a wonderful place. So keep us in your prayers. Maybe we have a couple minutes for questions.
Could you, I have a special interest in Living Wisdom School here, and can you tell us about the Living Wisdom School in Pune?
Yeah, sorry, what was the first part?
I teach at the Living Wisdom School here.
Yes.
And would love to know what the work is like there for EFL.
Thank you. Okay, so in Nitayji is now based out of India. and he helps oversee the work through teachers. When Swami in 2009 said he wanted a school in Pune, but actually prior to that also teacher training had started. EFL, Education for Life teacher training had started. You'll remember that time when Swamiji met Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the then president of India. And Mr. APJ asked him, "Sir, this book is marvelous. How do you plan to bring this education system into the country?" And Swami said, "I'm training teachers." So many of those teachers have been trained, and now we are actually, just yesterday, Jyotishji was mentioning that hundreds of schools are lined up to receive Education for Life teacher training. So we have a little school, yes, thousands. So because we have contacts right at the very top of the National Board of Education, where people are opening doors for that. So to mention, let's say in Pune we have a little school, which is an Education for Life school, and in Gurgaon we have 3 schools which are now adopting EFL principles. But when you have thousands more lined up, how do you do it? So just last month, Adityaji shared a very beautiful thing. He said, part of EFL teacher training, the first step of EFL training is that the teacher should be meditating. And he said, for that, I don't need my school teachers or EFL teachers to talk about it. He said, I can work with core members, long-term meditators of every center, to do that introduction to new teachers beyond Ananda. And he thought that's going to be a turning point in addressing this larger need. So then he came down to Pune, he did a training, a little, you might say, step 1 EFL training. How do you, as a meditation teacher, talk to a school or college teacher and get them interested in meditating and changing their consciousness? And then he will come in and fill in, with other teachers and fill in those details of what is Education for Life and such. So the emphasis right now, you can say, is yes, working through those 4 schools that we have, but also to plant seeds of EFL in thousands of schools and then find ways to nurture it. And Jyotishji thought East and West should collaborate in this, because many of you, for example, could do a session, as Nityaji and others feel is appropriate, for another teacher. So let's say primary, middle, high school teachers could talk. This is how I go about it. This is how I introduce the principles. This is what I would do if I was in your place. So that, because how else would you cover hundreds and thousands of schools? You need a good crop on this side to address that need.
Would you talk just a little bit about some vision for people from our Indian communities working with people from the American communities, some of what we were just talking about at the village, but sort of cross-pollinating?
Right. So, just like I met David this morning and I said, you're running this beautiful store. I said, I want to do something similar. I said, 1/20th of the size. He said, I'll tell you everything about it. And I'll tell you for free. Well, that's big help. I don't know why I keep getting these freebies, but I don't want to jinx it. So, that was the appropriate thing to ask, but I was praying inside. But, just like we were brought up by Jayaji, Dhyanaji, and many others in meditation, they do meditation teacher training. Then after Kriya Yoga and meditation was quite strongly established in centers, Ananda Yoga was brought in. Then healing teachings were brought in. Now we are talking of Leela Devi, for example, coming to India and doing a teacher training on the essences. Because we have enough long-term, if you can call 20 years long-term, Kriya Bandhs. Jayaji, speaking about long-term, Jayaji was once giving a talk some years ago in Chennai, and he said, when you're new on the spiritual path, you really don't know what's really going on. And he said, when I say new, I mean, say the first 25 years of your life. So he says, then you start making some sense of how things really work. Anyway, but so things like that, or like I asked for Shantiji's videos, last year, that how do you bring in Master's healing and health teachings in your medical practice. Then Shankara is doing the online home study, where many teachers from, I believe maybe here too, are participating as teachers, as mentors. And we could think of more things, but I would say stay in touch with Shantiji, because we just came out of the center leaders meeting where East and West and Italy, Europe, India, Europe, and the US, how can we work together? How can we do projects together? And I want to thank you, I'm getting this opportunity in person, for participating in the Recharge Health that we did in the pandemic. You remember when Dr. Dean Ornish and many others came and did a talk, and if anybody wants recordings of those 67 talks, just write to me, I'll give you the link. But that was wonderful, that the pandemic came upon us. They couldn't see a doctor, but we wanted to know, what should I do about health, from Ayurveda to allopathy, master's teachings. 40 of our best teachers collaborated with doctors from Harvard and Stanford and schools in India, and we did that program as an offering to people that this is what we know about health, which was huge, 67 videos. So things like that, and Jyotishji quoted that example. He said and it was a paid program, and every center, we shared the revenue with 38 entities within Ananda. Because we were also, facing that challenge financially. We were closed, everything was closed. So if you're offering something, there's a little charge. How do we charge in different countries? How can we make it? There was a whole back-end team to do this technologically. And then how can we offer the wisdom of master to people? So I would say things like that. But stay in touch, ask questions. I often like to, see myself, let's say, and many of us in India who are supporting Jayaji and Dhyanaji, because you see each culture and the need of that culture and those people is slightly different. So which aspect of the teaching should be applied when? So there's a way they lead it, and then we get behind them to address that need. So I would say stay in touch, and if you need help, that's another thing we learned in this retreat. You may be wanting something which you have an expert in another community with that. So why not just collaborate with them? Just put out your need. Any other thoughts, questions online? I just want to know what's with this first floor and ground floor. Why are 4 of our angels upstairs?
We call that our choir loft, so maybe they're going to sing us a song.
Oh, the little kid is there, that's why.
Maybe Adu will sing us a song.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Okay, shall we then close with a little brief meditation? Let me check if there's anything else I wanted to share. Yes, Pranav.
Dr. Aditya, thank you for coming and not passing over like what you have done before. Appreciate it. We loved your stories. I had a question. There's so many things in India which one can do.
Which?
One can do spiritually. Okay. So I'm kind of picking your brain. How do you go about thinking which one should be prioritized, or doesn't matter?
Do you mean within Ananda or in the culture itself?
Just in general. As you were saying, library, it seems like from your stories, I got that feeling that everything should be done, but at the same time...
You can't do everything. I mean, remember, I wanted to do the library in 2008. It's finally happening, So these things take time. We also need to bounce off these ideas. I bounced them off Swamiji. After his passing, it has been Jyotish and Deviji, Jayaji and Dhyanaji, and you bounce the ideas off them. You feel what is the right thing for you to do, how can I contribute? There's a singular way of doing something, and then there's the community way, the larger good, of what are we trying to do over here as a Sangha. So, just tune into that, check with your leaders what is the right thing to do. But Swami used to say, whatever you do should bring you inner freedom. You're not running away from something. Like I packed my medical books and 2 days later I had to purchase them again. So we can't really run away. We were joking with Amit. You all know his nature is, he like all of us, but he particularly is a sadhu. He seeks solitude. Well, that center, Chandigarh, is bustling with energy. So he was telling me, he said, I thought I'll move away from everything and establish an island of peace. And he says, so I said, Amit, you remind me of that story Swami used to say of that man who ran away from everything to the island of Guam because he wanted peace. And Swami used to say, and you know where the World War began then. It was the island of Guam over there. So I said, Amit, you can't run away from us. But yeah, tune into what is trying to happen and then go about doing it. Okay, let's take a moment to inwardly invite the blessings of the Masters, which are always there, but may our heart and minds be open. Like Swami used to say, every morning I pray to God through my Guru. May thy will be done, not mine. And then to accept whatever is coming as coming from God, to go about doing that. So let us pray that the Masters use us as instruments, bring us closer to them day by day through our service, meditation, devotion, satsang, and may we share that light which we receive every day with all our Guru Bhais in this community, all communities, all continents, all countries. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in all bodies, in all minds, in all souls. Let's rub our hands together to share these blessings with everyone. Om Shanti, Shanti. Go out with joy.
I say that Pranav visit, maybe because of the Colony Leaders Retreat, maybe because you're here, that the way that the Ananda communities, we've matured now and we've deepened, I mean, very much like what you spoke about, but you're coming here and, of course, Americans going there. We are strengthening this web that's being built of these teachings, of spreading Masters' teachings and Swamiji's. And your being here feels to me, as I was listening to you tonight and just feeling the energy here, it is so much more meaningful than we might think if we look at a room of 30, 35 people and maybe another 30 or 35 online. We ask ourselves, what's the meaning? But feeling all of us coming together in spirit and in truth, and just solely every word based on these teachings, I think what you've brought here tonight and will continue this whole weekend is just enormous. And it will continue to strengthen this World Wide Web. So just, I feel deeply, deeply appreciative, Aditya. Yeah.
created, like for them, the world was one place. And of course, for us, distance and all that comes in between in our mind. But whenever we visit one another, it's family, it's home. And I think and Master wanted that between East and West. He said, "No, come here, go there, and we help each other that way." So I'm very grateful also for this opportunity and this satsang. Thank you.